a sacred artifact has been produced, and a machine cult. So it looks like this Space Marine player is going to be heading, been looking to stay in Tier 2 for a while. This is the first Dreadnought. We've got a Hellfire Dreadnought here. Quality Dreadnought. It's not so good in combat, but it's much cheaper in terms of power, so you can still get a decent sort of vehicle firepower unit going on there without having to invest so much power, and that's what the Hellfire Dreadnoughts are all about. We've got three squads of Viper jet bikes. This one looks like it's going to get destroyed if Ava keeps leaving it, doing nothing here on rockets, pelting it. This is not really a very good play here by Ava, just leaving his Viper jet bike out to get destroyed like that. But yeah, those jet bikes are going to be very good though at actually disrupting these Space Marine squads. If he can actually target his jet bikes on those squads with rocket launchers, he'll be able to keep them pinned while the rest of his army mops up. And we'll have to see how that goes, because the Space Marines are starting to look dangerous here, getting into position. Got a Force Commander joining them shortly, and Space Marines just camping down right out of range of their listening post, firing rockets. Around the other side, the eastern side, the Space Marines are heading in with this Dreadnought. So this is a double-pronged attack here. The Eldar can either go and try and respond to the Dreadnoughts over at the east, or they can respond to the larger Space Marine force over here at the west. And it looks like battle is going to be joined very shortly, guys. Oh my god, the Ranger squad just got trashed. Yeah, they're going to have to retreat. Alright, battle lines are joined. Here comes the Seer Council, heading straight into the thick of the combat. The Viper jet bikes are hanging back a little bit, getting ready to fire some rockets off. But the Space Marines aren't really kept in combat. Most of them aren't anyway. But here comes Ava's counterattack. Here it comes. So jet bikes straight in the middle of it, firing rockets wherever they can, and battle is joined right in the center here. We've got Guardians right in the thick of it with Fleet of Foot unfortunately turned on, but Warp Spiders have appeared. Warp Spiders have actually zipped right around the back to take out some of the technical squads way at the back there, and Grey Knights have showed up, so if he can close combat the Warp Spiders with those Grey Knights, he'll be doing well, but unfortunately those Vipers are still keeping them pinned whenever they can, and the Space Marines are being forced back slowly, but two Hellfire Dreadnoughts are heading down the road, heading over to the western bridge, hopefully get some reinforcements in there, and it's starting to push back the Eldar with some superior vehicle firepower here, because the Eldar seem to have the upper hand of this fight. As you can see, the tactical squad's retreating. The Grey Knights are there are a number of Grey Knights. We've got a Librarian arrived as well, so the Librarian taking charge there. All three Space Marine heroes are alive at this point, so that's a bonus, especially for combat. And finally, the two Dreadnoughts have arrived, firing with rockets and assault cannons here. Unfortunately, they are not combat Dreadnoughts, but it doesn't really matter too much because these Grey Knights are doing pretty well in combat, backed up by that Librarian, and it looks like the Eldar are taking some casualties here, hanging back onto their side of the bridge. They know they can't really hang around in the fight for that long up against such heavy Space Marine firepower. But, yikes. Now, it just remains to be seen whether they can fully push the Eldar back and get some momentum in terms of a counterattack, or whether the Eldar are going to be able to reinforce themselves and push back across the bridge. Fighting is rejoined again, and I can't really tell too clearly. We've got a squad broken there in the center. I believe that's the Seer Council, at least it is. So when you've got your close combat troops broken in morale, that's always bad news. But the Warp Spiders are charging straight in. I feel like the Space Marine player needs to engage those Warp Spiders with something in close combat, even the characters or something, because the Warp Spiders just do so much damage close up like that. They really need to be engaged. And Space Marine player is paying for it. You can see all of his squads breaking it. Well, we've got at least one tactical squad breaking morale. Space Marine is very good in terms of morale, easily able to get their morale back. And the Eldar, unfortunately, such is not the case, but firepower makes up for that most of the time. And wow, we've got two hand-to-hand Dreadnoughts arrived. They've headed straight over the eastern bridge, and meanwhile they're actually trashing the Fire Dragons. Fire Dragons normally account for vehicles, but once they're in combat with the Dreadnoughts, that is not going to happen. You can see that very depleted squad of Fire Dragons with only two of them left. Meantime, combat just swirling away. He's left the Hellfire Dreadnoughts back to defend while assaulting with the close combat Dreadnoughts, probably intending to destroy some buildings in the Eldar base, and we'll see how that goes shortly. But taking a look at this, the Seer Council trying desperately to get some stability in this fight for the Eldar, but not succeeding, with all of these units dying and morale just dropping through the floor. Looks like the Space Marines are going to be able to hold this, and word of the Emperor gone off, word of the Emperor all over the tactical squads, and back at base, a triple threat of Dreadnoughts destroying the aspect portal. There it goes, it's down now. And looks like Ava just does not have enough Fire Dragons to deal with these Dreadnoughts, and luckily a Wraithlord arrives at the last minute. So Wraithlord charging in to actually get some combat, sparring with this Dreadnought here. So that's one Dreadnought down, 2 left. You can see that Ava's actually got his Bone Singers in there to repair. He's desperately going to need to, and the Space Marines pushing across the river, and now blasting the Wraithlord with rocket launchers and Hellfire Dreadnought firepower there as well. Large column of Space Marines heading in. Things looking bad for the Eldar at this point because they've got to contend with the Dreadnoughts. Almost taking out the Webway Assembly. He's lost another Dreadnought there, and Bone Singer's desperately defending. This is really close. You can see from the health. It's just got it to a sliver of health here, and Ava's only just defending with the Webway Assembly intact. And oh my god, he's managed to defend that with 2 Fire Dragon squads here, fully reinforced, just to desperately destroy those Dreadnoughts. But the Space Marines are in the Eldar territory, decapturing a point there, and the Eldar are going to have to respond to this, try and push them back, because they lost their aspect portal, they nearly lost the Webway Assembly, and now they've got to contend with a massive Space Marine army. So let's just see what Ava does to respond to this. Oof. Looks like the thermoplasma generator is taking some fire. And the Eldar force is hanging back wisely I think, to regroup, get some numbers together, and we've got yet another combat Dreadnought being produced at the other side of that eastern river. But the Fire Dragons are heading over to intercept that, and looks like the Eldar could be ready to make a counter-attack now. It doesn't really want to waste too much time, but heading with the 2 Dreadnoughts, I don't know how long they'll survive against rocket launchers, but the Fire Dragons have returned to the Eldar side of the map, and they're going to rejoin the battle. They're going to join the main battle here, flanking from the side to take out the Hellfire Dreadnoughts with their fusion gun attack here. So this looks very, very committed from the Eldar player Ava here, and Catch is going to have to make a decision here. Either stick around in combat and get slaughtered if he calculates this incorrectly, or pull back and head back over the west river. And it looks like Eldar do have this under control because they've now destroyed the Hellfire Dreadnoughts. And that's really what was providing the fire support in these battles. And now that everybody's in combat in this fight, the Dreadnoughts, the Wraithlords, they used to be called Eldar Dreadnoughts, but the Wraithlords are actually making sure that they get all of their close combat damage happening for them without being shot back at by tactical missile launchers. And that's what's going on here. Because the tactical squads are in combat and have been forced to retreat here by the Warp Spiders and the combination of the Eldar assault troops, that's when the Wraithlords can really do the serious damage, and that's what's forcing the Space Marine player to be forced back. Well done to Ava. Very good job there. Looks like he lost his chaplain as well, and a duo of Space Marine Predators, resplendent in their black color scheme here, getting in range of that Eldar listening post. So the Fire Dragons are frantically relocating themselves, shall we say, to their side of the map, and the Eldar are heading very aggressively over the bridge, over the western bridge, and actually pushing into the Space Marine territory while they've got momentum. The Seer Council doing very well, just holding off everybody in combat, and meanwhile the Warp Spiders charging in and getting kills. You can see them blasting away at the Space Marines wherever they can. So the Eldar being very aggressive here. Momentum has really picked up from them. This is really good play. And that looks to be word of the Emperor, so they're going to have to take out the Librarian as soon as possible. And meanwhile, Predators looks like they have not done a very good job here. They're actually being eliminated by the Fire Dragons. That one's being forced to retreat with a sliver of health. So Ava has managed to actually defend that side of this map successfully from that vehicle assault. But things don't look too well for the Space Marines over at the Space Marine main base. The Eldar have actually pushed all the way in now. This is actually turning into be quite an exciting game. You can see a big, gruesome patch of blood there where probably a couple of Space Marine tactical squads have lost most of their members. Eldar Wraithlord, of course, in combat. Orbital relay going up. He's built that right at the front of the combat, and the Eldar Fire Dragons have sent all of their units across the eastern bridge, looking dangerously close here. That combat Dreadnought is really going to need to get into close combat and deal with those Fire Dragons before it dies, the Ballistic Post dies, and the Orbital Relay dies. And if he loses the Orbital Relay as well, that will be no Terminator support later on. And the Space Marine player won't really be able to count on the support that he needs, that he's invested the technology for. So here we go, Dreadnought defending here. Looks like that Orbital Relay is going to be safe while that Dreadnought's there, but it's not going to last for too long up against those two Fire Dragon squads. Ava really needs to deal with that Fleet of Foot. He needs to take Fleet of Foot off while he's using those Fire Dragons. Orbital Barrage, Orbital Bombardment. Forget what you call that, but it didn't last for very long. The reason why is because the Force Commander was laid low by the Wraith Lords and other assorted Eldar squads there. Fire Dragons have retreated over this side of the bridge. Dreadnought's intact, being repaired by Servitor. But unfortunately, it looks like the main base here, in fact the stronghold of the Space Marines is under attack by the Seer Council. Got the Fire Dragons heading around this side of the map. Maybe if the Fire Dragons can rejoin the rest of their squads, they'll be able to lend their extreme